Welcome to Spirits and Cousins. I'm Tish.
And I'm Courtney.
And guess what? Tonight, what are we going to talk about, Courtney?
Hotel Monterey investigation.
Yes, we spent the night in the most haunted hotel room at this hotel. It's very well known.
It is.
But first, before we get into all that, because it's going to be really engaging.
Mm-hmm. We had fun.
Yeah, we did. We finally got a little bit of sleep. I was afraid something was going to pull the covers off.
I was afraid a blaring alarm would happen and when we finally got to sleep.
Well, let's talk about what we're drinking before we hop into it. And you know what? What's really funny is we both happen to be drinking the same thing tonight.
My favorite.
Yep,
Buffalo
Courtney's
Trace.
favorite. Buffalo Trace. Have you ever been to their distillery?
No, I need to go. We got to do that bourbon trail.
Yep, I agree.
I think we need to get them to sponsor us.
Well, if we get there and talk to them, we'll just have to sell them on that idea.
Maybe their distillery is haunted.
We could do an investigation while we're there. That's
Right.
true. That's really an interesting thought. We'll have to talk about that one. Okay. So, right now, I'm in Michigan and Courtney is in Monterey because she wants to be close to all the ghosties.
I sure do.
And you're still doing ghost tours, investigation, energy work, not to mention your full-time day job in how would you describe it? It's not education, it's
human services. I work with kids with disabilities and their families and schools.
oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
And
Life is quite busy.
And I am I'm taking a creative sabbatical for the year, I think.
That's so cool.
So it's been good. It's been good.
Good.
Monterey Hotel. As everyone knows that listens to us, we are from the central coast of California, I should say. The central coast of California is probably some of the most haunted coastline on the West Coast. And the Monterey Hotel in Monterey, and it just so happens it's the town that Courtney lives in, and it's right next to the town that I live in while I'm there, is probably one of the more, I would say, maybe top 5 haunted places, like Big Sur Lighthouse, Del Monte Hotel, Monterey Hotel, maybe the Pacific Grove Lighthouse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And the what's the building?
The Larasotto?
Larasotto. I would say that this one's right up top, wouldn't you?
Oh, Fort Ord also.
Oh, this one's up at the top too.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is if you guys out there would like to stay at a hotel that's haunted but are scared to, this is a fantastic one to stay at because the energy there isn't negative or angry or upset. It's more fun. They're attention seeking in really interesting and good ways. So it's a great place to stay at.
Yeah. I've mentioned this in some of our previous pods, but I'm a scaredy cat. So as soon as something scary or not normal happens, I'm like out the door. And I have to say that the energy was very active and intense, but it never felt like anything other than spirits wanting to have conversations. And, you didn't feel like when you went to sleep that something was going to attack you or anything like that. Because I was worried about that before we went.
Yeah, that wasn't at all a worry. I was more curious if maybe he would sit down next to us and we would feel that weight of someone sitting next to us or see the impression on the bed
or
on a chair. And I was hoping he would the alarm make it sound. But that didn't happen.
Well, there was a lot of stuff. Courtney, I think you all know this, but Courtney does do ghost tours in Monterey. And so she very much lays the groundwork on these ghost tours of the history. So, what better way to kick off our investigation than to have Courtney tell us a little bit about the Monterey Hotel, because it is very popular. This whole podcast, we're going to be talking about our investigation of the Monterey Hotel, which we did on May 16th of this year. So, Courtney, tell us a little bit about the Monterey Hotel.
Well, it was built in 1904 and it was incredibly modern for its time because it was one of the very first buildings to actually have gas and electricity. Before then, you could have one or the other, but not both. And it was modeled after European hotels. Henry Weeks was the architect, and his name is important to know because he is one of the spirits that continues to haunt the hotel.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a beautiful hotel, especially the front. It's just gorgeous. The back is the addition of the building, but it's so amazing when you walk in the front. It's very grand on the outside.
Well, it's we didn't really spend time in the new part, but when you walk into this hotel, it would remind you of like if you were going to stay in an old hotel in San Francisco or something like that. It's small. What I thought was really cool?
Hmm.
When you walk up to the reception desk, right behind the desk was that huge safe. It's the original
It's the
safe,
original.
and they don't even try to hide it. It's like this huge safe right behind the person that's checking you in.
That's actually where they kept the keys. They opened it up to put the keys in it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It
You
is.
won't be disappointed if you go there.
No, you won't be. And again, I'd encourage you, if you stay there, stay at the old part. Don't go in the new edition.
Yeah, you can ask for the old part, and just to give you guys an idea, the room rate, I'll get to it in a minute, but a room rate there in the old part is about $130. Now, the room that we got for the night was one of their historic rooms, and it was actually 2 rooms that they called one. It had 2 bedrooms. So that was $179 a night. So it's very reasonable by hotel standards what those rates were.
Well, we were both surprised when we walked in and it was 2 different bedrooms.
Yeah.
Like,
It
oh,
was like,
cool.
yeah, it looked like it was 2 rooms because there was 2 rooms and 2 bathrooms. But there was no adjoining door, but I bet you at one point there was, because you could just kind of tell. And then in one of the rooms, there was an armoire with a TV that was pushed in front of what used to be probably the old door to the hallway.
Mhm.
So, but I will say that as soon as you walk in and you check in, now Courtney's been in it several times. So what I'm going to share is kind of as a first time person in there. But definitely when you're checking in, you can feel the history, you can feel the age of the building, and you feel like you're checking into an adventure. You do. It's not
True.
it's not like checking into the Marriott or the Hyatt or the Hilton or something like that or whatever. It's like you're checking into history. That's really what it
Mhm.
felt like. And they're old school. I mean, yes, they have computers, but like it's everything is really old school. And Courtney, you'll have to share as you talk about, I know you're going to also give us some background on what people have seen in the hauntings. You got to talk about that mirror that you told me about that used to be right in front of the reception there.
Mhm.
So I was really excited, but I was still, a little anxious because I didn't know if the spirits were going to be warm, happy, or nice spirits, or ones that were angry. So I
Mhm.
was a little afraid. And this place is really well known, right? And it's had a lot. Tell us a little bit about a lot about like all these hauntings and kind of what's gone on in the hotel.
It's been haunted by Henry Weeks, who is the architect of the building. He's been known to socialize with the hotel guests, wearing his Edwardian finery, even with the top hat. He passed away in 1936. There's a young woman who wanders the halls in the second and third floors. And then there's the infamous Frank, who's also known as Fred. The people at the front desk told me his name was Frank, but in articles I've read, the maintenance man is also known as Fred. And he is the main player, the main spirit that we got to hang out with and experience.
I remember you saying too, as part of your tour, when you take folks in there, that some of the energy and what goes on in that hotel, it messes with clocks.
It does. It's mostly Frank. From what
Okay.
people leave is he messes with the alarm clocks in the rooms. People will not have set their alarms and they will be awakened by the alarm, or he will turn on the TVs and they will show static. He's also been known to say hi to people, a disembodied voice saying hello. And he's also been heard saying something like this, that he needs to fix the stairs. He needs to carpet and fix the 75 stairs. And in fact, there is a staircase with 75 stairs. For
And
those,
and how did he uh he lived there, and then what happened?
from what I was told, he lived in the hotel and lived in 217, which is why that is the room that we stayed in.
Oh.
What's been reported is people will stay in room 217 and some people won't have any experiences at all. And others have reported things like the TV and the alarm clocks, but also that they will sometimes see a shadow figure in the room. Not a harmful one at all, not scary, but just see one hanging out in the room.
We saw a lot of different things.
hmm There's a couple things that struck me the most, and that was Frank hanging out with us, but also those stairs. So I'm excited to talk more about those.
I didn't know what to expect. I had never done an investigation in a hotel. You've done hotels. I haven't.
Mhm.
And there's just the potential. Well, we did do Del Monte, right?
Yes, but we haven't stayed there yet.
No, but there is the potential for a lot of energy to come from a lot of different directions. And I didn't know what to think, except it's like anything else. If you go in and you think it's creepy, it's going to feel creepy. If you think it feels cool, it's going to feel cool. And you could certainly feel that there was no negative energy there. And I think that everything there was pretty benevolent. It was well-meaning and kind, you know?
I, I 100% agree. Yeah.
So I know you guys want to hear about it. There's a lot of different ways that we can do this. And what we're going to do is kind of run you through from when we arrived, what we did, what we encountered. And then Courtney can also explain kind of the background to it and what it could mean. I'll kick it off if you're good with that, Courtney, and just say that. So we got there like 7:30 at night. We got to the room, and when we walked in, we didn't know that it was going to be two rooms that were kind of connected. So there were two rooms, and each room had its own energy, didn't it, Courtney?
It did.
The one room that we walked in, that's the main door, goes into one room, and that's room 217. And that room, you could feel like had an abundance of energy right out of the gate. Courtney came in with these bags because we have a lot of equipment.
We had all of our gear. We
Yeah,
were ready.
that's right. And for you, for those of you that are listening, you're probably wondering, when we go to a place like this, because we're not ghost adventures, but when we go to a place, what do we have with us? We had a digital tape recorder. We had a video camera with night vision. You had flashlights,
Yep.
spirit box.
Yep. Fleur, the thermal camera.
We had a thermal camera. We had a pod.
We had the tri-field and the colorful EMFs.
We had the tri-field EMF, the colorful EMFs.
Purple static node.
Okay, the purple static node. Where'd you get that from?
That came from Supernatural Inc.
Gotcha.
KD Stafford.
Gotcha. I'm trying to think, was there anything else? We had it all. And why do we have all that? And why, and I think it'd be good for you to explain. You start with all that and then what happens next, because we don't keep it all going and we're not using it necessarily all at the same time all night.
No, we started actually with a lot more equipment at first. We made sure to set up the camera. Well, first we started with the EMF and the flashlights, and that's usually what I start with because they're just easy and simple, and spirits tend to know how to use those more readily than the higher technology or the more advanced technology gear. Very quickly, the EMF detectors made it known that energy was with us. I mean, because we got to the hotel and our intention was to set our stuff down and go to dinner. And
Yep.
even before dinner, we were having activity. And it was confirmed through the EMF detector and the flashlights that it was Frank, the maintenance man, who was hanging out with us.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like she said, we got there to the room, we unpacked everything, all the equipment, made sure that the batteries were charged up, because a lot of times you get there and as you go to check batteries, they're like draining. So yeah, we did that. We were back at the hotel, around 10:15, Court?
Mm-hmm.
This is where I felt our first encounter. And that first encounter was, we got into the hotel, we walked up the stairs, the ones by the front desk. And as soon as we started walking up the stairs, I was like, oh my God, I feel like I got up to the top of the stairs and I had to stop for a minute to catch my breath, because I felt like I had all this pressure on my chest. And I didn't want to say anything. And then I said, Courtney, I feel like I can't breathe. And that's when you explained to me about that heaviness on the chest. That's the energy. Because I was fine. It hit me as soon as we hit those stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I got up to the first landing, and that's when I just got like slammed in the chest.
Well, and it was interesting because I felt it also when we'd first walked up the stairs to go to the room, but I'd been having respiratory illnesses. And so I thought it just was my lungs. And then that second time when we walked up, you and I looked at each other and we were feeling the same thing. And I was like, yeah, this is not that.
Yeah.
It was pretty intense, and was really interesting to notice.
Yeah, I think it would have been scary for anyone to be going upstairs and all of a sudden you get like this heavy pressure on your chest. And by the time I got up to the second landing, I was having trouble catching my breath, but it's not like I was having chest pains or anything. I felt like
No.
somebody was sitting on me. And then as I walked away and got out of the way of the stairs, then you came up. It kind of just went away all at once. Oh, and the other thing is when I got up the stairs and I stood still for a minute, this cold air surrounded me.
That's right.
Remember that?
Mm-hmm. And we both just stood there for a moment, catching our breaths, just being curious about what was happening and the space that we were in. And it also reminds me that the stairs that we went up are the stairs right by the front desk. And several things happen in that area that the front desk people have told me about. One is which is they often feel they're being watched from those stairs. They will hear footsteps on those stairs also, and they'll just go look and no one is there. And that mirror is also right down those stairs. And so that mirror used to be in front of the front desk, but when the front desk people would look out, they would see something behind them in the mirror. They asked the mirror to be moved over, which is why it's now at the end of the stairs.
Yeah, it still looks good where it is, but when you told me that, I could see where it would have been where it was, and then they moved it, and what they put there doesn't really go there. But
It doesn't. It's like an armoire or a
yeah,
display case.
yes, in front of the reception desk. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's definitely different. So we go up those stairs, and that was my first experience in the building. Now Courtney's been there several times, but that was my first experience. And that was only the second time I had ever felt something physical when we've gone on an investigation. The first one being at Del Monte when I had the cologne. Remember where I
Mhm.
could smell the cologne going past me. So that was pretty cool. We get back to the room. So by 10:30, we got back to the hotel at 10:15, and by 10:30 we had all the equipment on. I think we were starting with flashlights and EMF, and I was walking around with the FLIR heat
Mhm.
gun, and you had the purple static node going. And then kind of what happened next?
So the EMF detectors were going off very frequently, and not just little blips, but going all the way up to red numerous times and then settling back down to green, going all the way up. And when we were engaging with it, it was responding positively that it was indeed Frank who was hanging out with us. And we just were holding a conversation with him, talking about the time that he was living in the hotel, which we believe was about around 1940. When I go back to the hotel, I want to ask them for definitive dates and years. We also know, I was told by the front desk people that he died there. He was working under the elevator, which is no longer in use, this old historic elevator. He was underneath it and he was crushed by the elevator. So we were asking him about that, and he was giving us near immediate responses with
Oh my
EMFs
God.
and
It was
flashlights.
It was crazy. You'd ask a question and the flashlight would go off. It was immediate. I'd never seen it like that before.
And his energy throughout the whole night would frequently go up to red, and that can be really difficult for a spirit to have the energy to do that so often.
No, you're right. For everyone listening, the EMF meters were like off the charts. They were off the charts. They were like going back and forth. I mean, all night. I'd never seen these things going off so much, almost continuously when we were in the room.
Mhm.
And then Courtney would be having a conversation with him, and then you could see he would just leave,
Mhm.
but then when he would come back, he would engage 100% immediately and take over the whole conversation. And not once did I feel like it was anything bad or negative.
I didn't either. And it was interesting because he would come hang out for a decent amount of time,
Yeah,
what, 10, 15, 20 minutes at a time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then he would leave for a similar-ish, maybe 10 to 15 minutes again and come back. It was almost like he was leaving maybe to go fix things and then to come back in and hang out in his room.
Right. That's it. What was crazy is that he was just setting everything off.
Mhm.
And you're just having a conversation, and not that he was there where I could see him, but you could tell that he was enjoying the conversation.
Yeah, I like to think so, especially because he kept coming back and engaging with us.
Yeah. So we sat there, and you had that first conversation was a good period of time. And in the meantime, I was also walking around and getting my bearings. And we decided sometime around, 11:30 to walk the hotel, including again the haunted staircase, the one that we came up earlier where we had that heaviness.
We wanted to see if it happened again.
That's right. So we decided, okay, we're going to walk the hotel. Now, we didn't want to walk around with all this equipment, but I think we took an EMF. What else did we take? I
I
know
think
I
it
had
was
an EMF.
Yeah, it was the EMF, and I had my camera too.
Oh, that's it. You had your camera because Courtney picks up a lot via photography. A
I
lot.
get weird shit in my photos.
Yeah. And the EMF, because we didn't wanna go around, like, freaking people out, and we hadn't walked the hotel yet to even know if there were where the hot spots were and all that
Mhm.
sort of thing. So, we get out of our room, and by the way, our room was right by this whole landing at the top of the stairs. This landing is huge. It's like a whole reception area almost. We
And
start Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Also, keeping in mind that landing is also where that elevator shaft is.
Oh, yeah, the elevator that no longer works.
Yes.
That's right. When's the last time you said that elevator worked? It was quite a while ago.
It was quite a while ago because they have a new elevator in the new edition.
So we go out to walk the hotel. The first thing we do is we go down the stairs. And as soon as we go down the stairs, we both get hit with coldness.
Sure did.
And then we decided to go back up the stairs, and we were hit again with that chest pressure and cold bursts as we walk the stairs. And then we go back down the stairs and hit the coldness again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's safe to say we did the stair thing. And then we walked around on that second floor. Where did we go? We walked around on the second floor, up and down the hallways. We went downstairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where the reception was. We didn't pick anything up really downstairs. We picked up the stairwell. And remember when we were at the top of the stairs on our floor, we picked up some things in that whole reception area up there.
Yes, we did. Yep, our EMFs were lighting up a little bit there, and I got some orbs, but orbs can be hit or miss in terms of what they are.
We didn't go to the other floors because the floor that we were on and the first floor are the main floors that have activity, right?
Mm-hmm. And that second, we were already on that second floor also where that woman hangs out, the spirit of the woman.
Oh, yes, that's true. The other thing worth noting is as we were walking around on our floor and on the other floor, we continue to get cold bursts of air here and there, like in some of the halls. I guess you'd call it, we were like walking into cold fields, but we weren't getting any EMFs. So Courtney, I have a question for you. If we were walking the hotel and different parts of the hotel, and we were definitely walking into areas of hallways and things that all of a sudden you'd get hit with like a wall of coldness, and then you'd walk out and that wall of coldness might last like 3 feet, and then it's regular air again, but we weren't getting EMFs. Isn't that odd, or is that common that you could get one and not the other?
I mean, it's odd, but it also isn't. What I would look at is, could something have been causing that cold spot? Was there a draft? Was there a window right there that could have made it a little bit colder? I would look at those things and see if that had an impact on that space. But otherwise, because it also could be residual energy of a spirit too, that could make it be a little bit colder.
Okay. So we're walking around getting different things that you would interpret as there was definitely energy around, but nothing that was over the top. I remember you said a few times it's actually was pretty quiet that night in the hotel.
It was, but do you remember that moment? And it was that 1 to 2 a.m. when we kept getting the cold spots in our room.
Yep.
That was fascinating. We kept getting that temp drops.
Well, so we got back to the room. I mean, we must have found something because, we walked that hotel for almost an hour and a half, up and down different places and things like that. And then we got back to the room around 1 a.m. Now, there's a reason why we're doing all this, and that's because I would say, isn't it from like 12 to 3 or 1 to 3 or, the hours of the evening that are most active for paranormal and spirit activity are around this time. Actually, it goes to 6, doesn't it? Like 1 to 6 or 12 to 6 or something like that.
I guess I probably get the most activity between 11 and 3 or 4.
Okay. Well, we were getting a lot. So we get back to the room at 1, and the room actually had 2 bedrooms, as I mentioned earlier. And we set up the night vision video camera in one of the rooms and shut the door. And we recorded for like approximately 30 minutes. And you're wondering why. Why did we do that? Why did we choose one room that we had, set up the night vision camera in that room and shut the door?
Why,
Well,
Tish?
I'm going to tell you why. Because I use the FLIR heat camera. That is the little camera. It's like a camera you hold it's got like a grip and you hold it in your hand. and it's got a little screen, and you can scan a room or point it at something, and it'll catch changes in heat fluctuations. And it not only will it catch those heat fluctuations, it'll show the shape of whatever that is creating that heat fluctuation. So it's really cool. It's called a FLIR, FLIR heat camera. I was in the other room and I'm scanning the room with the FLIR heat camera, and I saw the weirdest thing. I'm like, Courtney, you're going to come in here. So I'm scanning the room, and I caught some sort of person run across the room, lifting their legs really high in the air, almost like the way somebody would kind of like dance around a fire. So picture that, how they lift their legs high. Does that make sense? You know what
Yes.
I'm saying, Courtney?
Yep.
And so they're lifting their legs high and they're running across the room, and they disappear through a locked door into the hallway. This locked door is the door that I had mentioned earlier that they had slid an armoire in front of. So I'm using this heat camera. I call her in. I didn't get to pull the trigger to take the picture. And I'm like, I know what I saw. I know what I saw. We went ahead and set that up and set up that camera in there and recorded it for an hour or 30 minutes. And it didn't catch anything. When I went out into the hallway to where that door is, even though it's permanently shut, I went out to it with the EMF after to see if I could get anything, and I didn't get anything. But I'm telling everyone that's listening to this, I know what I saw. And I saw this figure running across the room with these legs raising really high and fly out the door that the armoire was in front of. There was a portion of that door that wasn't covered, and it went right between the armoire and the wall through that door. And I wish I would have caught something on video, but that didn't happen. But anyway, in the meantime, we're in the other room. We take that FLIR heat camera in the other room, and Courtney, you started playing with it in that room with everything else you had going in there. That was the room where you had all the equipment set up. And the temps were flying all over the place in the main room where all the equipment was. Do you remember that?
Yes, that was unreal. And we caught that on the FLIR camera because we were aiming it at those cold spots, and
Yeah.
we were catching the temperature changes, and it would change by 5 degrees at times. Sometimes it was as little as 2 or 3, but at times it jumped 5.
Yeah, I was sitting here watching it too, and it was happening with that camera pointed at the same spot, and it would jump up and then drop back down and jump up, and at the same time other pieces of equipment were going off as well.
Yeah.
So I
Now,
think I think it was definitely it was real, and it was happening because I saw it too.
you did. We both. We were taking turns calling it out like, oh, there's another cold spot. Now it's
Yep.
warm again. Here's another cold spot. And we would feel it get warmer. And then the FLIR would show us again that it was getting warmer. When you saw that figure running across the room, did you feel any energy about it?
I did. Whatever was running across the room did not, it didn't feel happy, and it didn't feel angry. Felt like it was running away, like it was scared. It felt like it was scared.
Do you think you maybe startled it?
I didn't think of that. I guess I could have. I didn't really think of that. Huh. Yes, that could definitely be.
Because I was even wondering, had it been just hanging out on the bed and chilling out, then you walked in and it was like, holy crap, got to get out of here. And maybe had it been in the hotel before, that was the door it would have exited.
I didn't think of it. All I knew is when it happened, I didn't expect to catch something like that. So it was scary.
But what a neat experience to have. And I'm glad it didn't have any, especially
No,
negative energy feelings.
no. I mean, listen, I don't know how you feel, but like I'm grateful. We had so much activity. If we wanted to, we could have had and tracked and captured activity the whole night without
We
a
could
doubt.
have.
And in this hotel, you wouldn't go more than 5 minutes without catching something. Is that accurate, Courtney? Without catching something somewhere, whether that be an EMF light, whether that be pressure on your chest, whether that be flashlight going off. I mean, we were catching it all night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's also one of those things where if we didn't have equipment, we probably would have felt it, but felt Frank hanging out. But at the same time, if you didn't want to be disturbed, you didn't need to be disturbed.
Right.
But yeah, there's always something going on. We finally called it at, was it 3 or 4 in the morning? Because I
Yeah.
had to work the next day.
Yeah. And it was kind of neat because I had no reservations sleeping in that room that I had videoed in, and you had the other room, and we both had our own bathrooms. And, I would say that I half expected something, but I didn't experience anything after I went to sleep. I don't know about
Mhm.
you.
No, nothing.
Yeah. Part of it is that, they're not negative energies and spirits. So if we're asleep, they're not going to bother us. Maybe they go somewhere else. Maybe they go to sleep. I don't know.
Maybe. I felt that Frank enjoyed having this attention. Otherwise, he wouldn't have kept coming back and responding to us as much as he did. He was so responsive.
Yeah, I think you're right. And, again, if we go back to what people have seen there, it's been the lady that roams the halls. We didn't see her.
No.
A child hangs out in the lobby.
Mhm.
We didn't see that. Of course, Frank supposedly died by being crushed by by the old elevator. We certainly didn't see the woman. We didn't see the child. We literally stayed in the room that used to be Frank's apartment. And Courtney talked to him for hours, on and off for
We
hours.
did.
Yeah. You did most of the talking because I was doing stuff with the equipment and everything, but he was there. It was obvious and it was immediate. So to me, like, that's a huge win. Being able to experience the staircase, even feeling the cold spots. That was my first time. I thought that was all a crock of shit on Ghost Adventures when Zach talks about the pressure on his chest. He's got to stop. He can't breathe. You
Uh-huh.
know, I always thought that was drama, but when we were there,
Nope.
I experienced it the first time. You did too.
I've experienced that before. That's yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, many times. That was not new. That's why it didn't worry me.
Well, if you've never experienced it, you're like, am I having a heart attack? Am I having chest pain? What's going on?
For me, the hard part was at first, I thought it was just because I had been having the respiratory and asthma issues. So
Uh,
that's what I was thinking it was, that
yeah.
I just was the stairs were just hard on my lungs. And then it was like, wait, Courtney, you do stairs every single day, multiple times a day. So no.
So
I hadn't been having a hard time doing stairs up to my own apartment. So I was like, so no, it's not that. This is something else.
I also don't remember having any issues with clocks in the room, but then again, I don't know. I don't think that my room had a clock because I had to set my phone. So I don't think I had a clock. I don't know if you did.
One of the rooms had a clock. I remember seeing it because I remember thinking, I really hope Frank makes the alarm sound. And I remember asking him to do that. He did not.
Ah, well, I can say that as somebody who doesn't have the experience you do, and you said this earlier, this was a great investigation because there was a ton of energy. Now, a lot of it was Frank, but there were a lot of other things going on, none of which felt threatening. That's why this is such a great place to go if you're a beginner or you're kind of a scaredy cat like I am. This is a great place to go. I don't know how you felt about the investigation. I think that people expect an investigation to have a bunch of negative energy, and this one didn't at all.
No. I think what a lot of people do is they watch TV shows.
Yeah.
And then so they're always or often expecting it to be negative or angry energy or upset energy, when the majority of the time it's actually pretty chill energy like we experienced. And it's usually not so negative or scary, but it's usually our own projections and our being scared of the unknown. That is what's scary. Because oftentimes the spirits just want attention. Like, for example, when your cabinets were opening
Yep.
up in Michigan, that spirit just wanted attention. They didn't want to scare anyone. Like, they weren't trying to harm anyone. And
Right.
that's usually just what they want. They just want to you to say hi.
So, I would say all in all, this was a successful investigation, right, Courtney?
Absolutely.
Would we go back again, or do you feel the need to go back again to finish anything off? What do you think, since you're local to this location?
I would like to go back again, just expanding on this, bringing different equipment, doing more not EMF, but EVPs in the hallways and on those stairs. I would like to do that. So yeah, there's some other things I'd like to do and have another go at it. I think it's worth it.
Was there anything about this that surprised you?
The amount of cold spots and the frequency of cold spots really surprised me. That really did. I was so thrilled that Frank showed up. I was hoping, and I set that intention and I asked him to please show up and hang out with us. I was happily surprised at how frequently he came back to rejoin us. And the amount of time and energy that he gave us that was an honor. It was wonderful.
Well, I think it was wonderful too, and again, it was very friendly. And if I think about a cold spot for how it's actually defined, I would say that we ran into many, many ghosts there. If you assume that a cold spot is an area, a low temperature, like, indicates the presence of a ghost, right? Isn't that
Mhm.
really what it's supposed to do? A cold spot indicates there's a presence of a spirit or a ghost right there.
Yeah, it can. And yes, it can. I mean, you also have to look at, is there a draft in the window? Is there a draft coming from the door? Is it colder outside? Different things like that. But
Yeah.
we didn't have that because there's that odd window.
Yeah. No,
But
this
we
was in
made
the
sure,
hallway, but a lot of this happened in
yeah,
hallways and stuff too. I
yeah.
loved it. I loved it. It made me want to do more investigations in hotels, because there's nothing like not having to get in the car and drive late at night. You get to where you're going to not only investigate, but you're going to stay there and you get to sleep in a bed. So,
Hmm.
that was a lot of fun. And I think we need to look at some more places where we can investigate and stay the night. Do it again.
Del Monte Hotel, here we come.
Yes, yes. I think we might have shared that we went there. Have we shared that yet?
I don't We haven't we have, it's been in passing. We
Okay.
haven't done an episode on it yet. I've been there twice so far and it is incredibly haunted. That'll be for another episode on a different day.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think we're gonna do an investigation. The plan is to spend the night. I went once with Courtney. It is incredibly haunted. I'll just leave it at that. But so was the Monterey Hotel.
Yep.
And we had a lot of fun, and we're very glad you joined us on this pod. As always, grateful for everyone that listens. Don't forget to like us on Apple Podcasts. Where else, Court?
Google, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart. We're also on Instagram, Spirits and Cousins, TikTok,
Yep.
Spirits and Cousins, and you can email us spiritsandcousins@gmail.com.
And don't forget, Courtney does a lot of extra content on TikTok and Instagram that you'll never hear us talk about and you won't see anywhere else. So check it out. Make sure you follow us. It's just a click away. In the meantime, I'm Tish.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're Spirits and Cousins. Thanks.
Have a good one.